What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Viall Files Reality Recap Edition. I'm your host, Nick, joined by the household of Allie, Leah, and our sweet boy, Justin. How's everyone doing?
Very good. It's a nice day in LA.
It is a nice day. It's been raining. Yeah.
Justin just had a birthday. How was your birthday,
It
Justin?
was Justin's birthday yesterday.
I flew to NorCal for literally a day, but it was fun.
Oh, wow.
So I flew back on Super Bowl like Sunday, but I was back there for Saturday. I saw Six the Musical, which was an experience. I don't know if anybody's a fan of that show.
Did you go with your boyfriend?
My family.
Your family?
Yeah, it was a family weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did your boyfriend come with? No.
How
did you feel about that?
He can come next time. He's fine.
Okay.
He was here. He was living his life. So yeah.
How did you feel about your birthday being on the Super Bowl?
I gave my birthday juju to the Chiefs. They won. So I can take claim for that. I think that was my credit. But yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't watch the Super Bowl that much.
Gotcha.
So.
But you're from NorCal.
Oh, that's right.
So 49ers, I guess, by default. I could be, yeah.
But you don't give a shit.
Yeah,
That's
I could
fine.
care less.
Well, we have a very special guest today. Very excited about it. The one, the only, Diablo Cody is with us. Everyone, give it up for
Hello.
Diablo. You have a new hit movie. It's out.
It's out. It
It's
came out
out.
on Friday.
Lisa Frankenstein.
Yes.
I watched it last night.
Thank you for watching. I know you're a very busy man these days.
I am. Well, honestly, I'm just holding a baby and, watching great content. So it wasn't that hard to do. It was quite enjoyable. But congratulations on it. It's really great. Also,
Thank you
just
very much.
any Midwesterner, it's a must watch for sure in general.
I try to infuse the upper Midwest vibes into everything I write, and I think it's in there.
It's great. What is your favorite part about it? The movie? Very different. Obviously, a lot of people know you from Juno.
Yeah.
This is a very different type of movie. More
Macabre.
Yeah, more macabre for sure.
My favorite part of this movie is it reminds me of the supernatural comedies that I grew up watching in the 80s, like Gremlins and Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
And you don't really see a lot of those movies anymore. So I was like, let's bring one out for the people.
Yes, it's a great callback. Yeah, for any 80s movies buff and those macabre movies, it is a great watch. Love the soundtracks in it too. The music was phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah, we got real goth with the soundtrack. So
it was.
Yeah,
how much say do you have on that stuff?
So typically as a screenwriter, you are advised to not put any music in the script, to leave those decisions to the director, etc. I have been very lucky and very spoiled in my career because I have worked with directors that are simpatico.
Mm-hmm.
And I also produce at this stage, so it's that helps. But I put a lot of those songs in the script. And Zelda Williams, who directed the movie, was like, I'm completely down with all of this. So she got me as much of the music as she could.
That's great.
Yeah, it was nice.
To me, that was a big part of the movie. The nostalgia of it. It was.
Yeah.
It was a nostalgic movie for me, even though it was a bit macabre, and maybe it's just because of my Midwest roots.
No, that was genuinely the main vibe we were trying to cultivate was nostalgia. So I'm glad that.
And it's definitely not something. I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't expect what I watched.
Yeah.
In the best possible. I was like, oh, okay. Here we go.
I mean, I'm glad. It's actually it's pretty difficult these days to get an original movie made that isn't based on existing IP or a successful comic book or whatever. So I'm just proud that we were able to make something that chaotic and get a theatrical release.
How long have you been working on it?
I started writing it peak pandemic 2020.
Wow.
So
I couldn't imagine. I have so much respect for people who write scripts. It seems so difficult. I don't know, maybe because I've never done anything like it.
For me, I'm an introvert, so it's the easiest thing in the world to be alone and make shit up.
Sure.
The more difficult aspect of my job for me is when we actually get into production and there's personalities around and there's departments, and it's why I don't direct, because honestly, it just gives me so much anxiety.
I don't know, once they start filming from the creative standpoint, do you have to fight to keep your original content, or from a producer director standpoint, how much are they trying to tweak things or make changes, or do they stay true to what you wrote on paper?
I've been really lucky in the film world in terms of having great collaborators and great studio execs. TV, that's where shit gets complicated. I have gotten some of the wildest notes you have ever heard from TV executives, where it's we really, really love this pilot you wrote about dentists. Can they all be lawyers? You know what I mean? Where you're that's a completely different show.
Totally.
And they're can you turn this around by Monday? And we're also never going to make it, FYI.
Oh, that would be so frustrating.
Yeah, it sucks, but I've been doing it 20 years now, so.
That's amazing. And now, so it's Lisa Frankenstein is out.
Yeah.
in theaters, wherever you watch. I say that like podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, like wherever you go to movies. Do you think the movie theater experience is coming back?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be the change I want to see in the world because I have to admit, like, the temptation to stay home and watch it on my couch is strong.
It is strong. I say this as someone who like loved going to movies. Like back in the day, it was like it was let's just go to the movies and we'll find something to watch.
Yeah, you just went.
We just went, and now it's even me. I'm just like, you know, we have the TVs, we have the streamers. It's just harder to get up and go. And it's tough.
It's tough, and it's like everybody feels that way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to bullshit you. Like, this was a bad weekend for the box office. In general, across the board, people don't go out to see movies the way that they used to. I don't know if we'll ever be back to the way things were, just because everything is so readily available now. But I do think people will continue to go to the movies because it is a special experience.
There's something about sharing the energy of the people who are watching a movie with you. You know, like if it's a comedy, hearing other people laugh, or if it's a drama, like feel this fear or the intensity of the people around. I've always enjoyed that experience. Like, have you ever seen the movie Outbreak with Dustin
Yes.
Hoffman?
And Gwyneth Paltrow?
Yeah. No.
No, I'm thinking of the Soderbergh movie about the
No,
plague.
the one where it's Dustin Hoffman. It's an old movie. Cuba Gooding Jr.'s in it. It's like a disease. The Ebola virus is the villain. But in the movie, the disease spreads when someone who is early infected goes to the movie theater and they're coughing and they show like the viruses. So like when you're in the theater watching it, it just added to the intensity. And it's like that will always be a vivid memory of mine, like going to the movies, watching something like that, and being in the theater, adding to the experience of watching that movie was something I miss when it comes to seeing movies. So I hope there is a renaissance when it comes to people visiting the box offices.
I hope so too. And like in this movie in particular, in Lisa Frankenstein, there's a scene near the end, and I'm sure you know what scene I'm talking about, where watching it in a theater is so much fun because people just start screaming.
Yes.
And like, you can't replicate that.
And there's definitely there's a lot of like, holy shit, what the fuck moments in this movie. And to experience it with other people adds to it.
Yeah.
It's great. Well, congratulations. It's
Thank
wonderful.
you.
So go check it out, everybody. It's amazing. It's great. It's a great Valentine's Day movie with your partner or your girlfriends, or really just anyone.
I encourage anybody to see
Just
this movie.
anyone. Yeah. Did you watch the Super Bowl this year?
I did, and I'm not normally a football person, but I will totally admit to being a basic bitch Swiftie that watched it to see my girl.
I was only rooting for Taylor Swift as a Green Bay Packer fan who hates the Niners and is over the Kansas City Chiefs winning. I was only rooting for Taylor Swift.
I was rooting for Taylor. I loved seeing her up there, glamorous as hell in that box. Although I have to say, like, as a drama addict, I did think it would be an interesting plot development in the Taylor-Travis relationship if the Chiefs lost.
If they lost, yeah. It would have been, how would they have handled that? What did you think of him losing his shit on the sideline to his coach? It's kind of a bad look.
Okay, so as someone who doesn't routinely watch football, is that unusual?
It is unusual for any player, especially a star player like Travis, to go up and scream in the face of the coach and then kind of physically bump him. And little background for yourself or anyone else who may not be big football fans. Andy Reid, the coach, legendary. You can tell by his mustache. Yes, he's an old school, very successful, and not that any player should do that to any coach, but the disrespect to Andy Reid was something. Had they lost, now Travis had a good game. He played well, so and they won. But had Travis not played that well, and the Chiefs lost, it would have been a very interesting storyline, and that would have been something. But it'll be curious. I think Travis, if anyone can handle the PR fallout of this situation, I think Travis will. He'll go on his podcast, and I think his brother Jason will give him the big brother tough love. Yeah, he'll be like, "Hey man, we don't do that in this family," something like that. And then Travis will be like, "Yeah, like that was." I think he will.
I think you might have just fully predicted exactly how it's going to go down.
Yeah, he'll he's like, "We don't," I think Travis won't make any excuses. Well, I should have been better than that. It's not what a leader does, and he'll say all the right things. But it was a bad look on that part. And there's a couple of screenshots of him.
No, he looks scary.
Scary, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the only real takeaway is just bring that picture
But
up.
Andy's addressed it. Like Andy Reid has addressed it, and he was like, "I was off balance. I didn't have my feet underneath me. Like
That's not addressing it. That's him being a good coach and defending his players.
Kelsey also told ESPN, I'm going to keep it between us. It was just me telling him how much I love him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it could just be like a tough love thing. Has adrenaline rushing through his blood.
It's disrespectful. It was unbecoming of the Travis we've grown to love.
I know. I do love him.
And we see him as a great partner for
our
Taylor,
girl.
for our girl. And like that screenshot of him like having a vein explode in his head is not the type of energy we love for Taylor. It's just a little aggro.
No, we don't.
It's like
The video's even worse because it looks like he's knocking Andy over.
No,
Like,
it was a bad look. And just to put it out there, I think the reactions from the audience would be different if it was a different player. If it wasn't Travis.
So do you think the audience was more forgiving because right now we're all inclined to be?
We're like, oh, you got
obsessed
angry,
with
it's
with
intense,
Travis,
like,
yeah.
Travis, but if there were several other players, had they done something like that to any coach, let alone Andy Reid, I think the reactions would be less forgiving, for sure. I think Travis has bought himself a lot of leash and rope when it comes to public sentiment.
Well, he's lucky that they pulled out that win because you're right. The narrative would be different if he had thrown a tantrum and then they lost.
Do you think Taylor and Travis are at the point in the relationship where Taylor's like, we don't do that? Like from a PR.
Do I think that she reprimanded him?
Yeah, do you think she kind of gave him some? No, you don't think she gave him any tough love?
I don't think she did. I think Taylor Swift has such an exceptional amount of control and power in her day-to-day life that she is probably prone to relinquishing it behind closed doors. Straight up armchair psychology. Yeah. I obviously know nothing about the relationship, but I do know that sometimes when I find that powerful people can often be quite submissive in their personal lives.
So you think she's more demure and more gentle in this relationship?
I do. That's my theory. I could be completely off.
I am fascinated. I should ask my friend if what Taylor thought about that.
She seemed happy during the game, so
you could get the direct intel. That's crazy.
Well, my friend is very delicate with the intel I receive. Sometimes she's very giving. Sometimes, I also try to respect the friendship just because like she's also like my friend and she's friends with other very famous people, and it's just like it's kind of icky. I don't want her reporting on anything that Taylor wouldn't want people to know, type of thing.
I understand that.
Like trust, it's trust. It's like you don't.
Yeah, I have a friend who's friends with J-Lo, and I treat the situation delicately, even though I'm desperate for every
exactly. It's like
detail.
I want to know everything, but I don't want to be one of those people. And even though I'm a speck of dust compared to like the public figureness that is Taylor Swift, like she's the beach and I'm just like a little baby dust, but I still know what it's like to have friends who have friends, and I don't want the things I talk about with my friends to be,
right. No, I
gossip,
understand.
So I try to treat that very delicately, but she got a lot of screen time, my friend.
I saw some article and it was like Taylor Swift and childhood friend. Are they childhood friends or did they just not know what they were talking about?
They're not childhood friends. No. Yeah. I believe they met. She's a stylist, and I believe she met through being a stylist, and then they became friends.
I thought she did interior design.
She does that too.
She's talented.
Very talented.
Yeah.
Multi-talented. There were points where like the Chiefs were losing, playing very poorly, and every time they'd shot to Taylor, she's just like having a ball, having fun. I'm really curious like how Taylor would have handled them losing too.
We all want to know how she would have performed disappointment.
Yeah.
We all want to know, but we will never know.
Was there a commercial that was your favorite? Do you get into the commercials at all?
Somewhat. And I mean, I am a huge Ben Affleck fan.
Love the Duncan.
Love the man, love the Duncan. Seeing him and Matt Damon in the matching tracksuits was amazing. I actually did try to buy the tracksuit this morning, and it was already sold out 25 minutes after the drop.
Are you serious?
Just to give you an idea of what an Affleck fan I am.
but also apparently so many others. Because I didn't even think that you could go and buy it.
Oh, yes, you can. I wanted to get matching ones for me and my friend, and it was too late.
Are you a Dunkin' girl?
Absolutely.
I've never been a Dunkin' guy. Like, I'm not saying I don't like it. It's never been my go-to.
Well, the thing is, being a Dunkin' person in LA sucks because we don't have a lot of them.
They don't have a lot of them. I think they put too much cream in their coffee. I always have to ask for lead in the cream. That's just me. Sorry for all the Dunkin' lovers.
Yeah. What's your Dunkin' order?
Okay, I'll usually just get like a large iced coffee, and I do still eat the donuts.
Yeah.
It used to be Dunkin' Donuts in my day.
Yeah.
So I get a strawberry frosted donut.
Oh, it's no longer Dunkin' Donuts?
It's just Dunkin'.
It's just Dunkin'.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's still Dunkin' Donuts for me.
To me, yeah.
The Google one.
I was going to say the Google one was beautiful.
I'm watching it. I was holding River. Natalie and her mom were also watching it, but they were like, Natalie was like on her phone, her mom was doing something. So I'm kind of I'm thinking we're all watching this commercial together. Turns out I'm the only one paying attention. And at the end, where they gave birth to, I believe, I don't know if I just started bawling, sobbing out loud hysterically, and no one else was watching. I'm like, why am I the only one crying?
I don't know what you're talking about either. I must have not been paying attention.
It's the one, it's for the Google Android phone.
Pixel.
Yeah.
He's like visual impaired. He can't see as clearly.
He can't see as clearly. So, and then you're seeing the commercial through his POV, so everything's blurry.
Oh.
And there's a technology apparently on the phone where it helps like visually impaired people, where it's letting you know there's two faces. So everything is, all right, two faces. So the visually impaired person knows that the two people are in frame.
Mm-hmm.
So that they go through all these moments, and it's like two faces at the very end. I was like, I'm getting emotional now. It's like three faces, and then they had their baby.
Oh my gosh, I'm like getting misty from your description.
Yes, I'm crying over everything now. Everything makes me sob. Yeah, I don't. Does that end?
No.
Yeah, I've become Niagara Falls now.
Being emotional never ends, and the terror never ends, I'm afraid.
Talk to me about the terror.
Well, I'm 13 years into parenting. I have 3 sons. They're 13, 11, and 8, and I had so much anxiety when they were born, and I remember thinking, at a certain point, I'm going to just settle into this. But no, there's just a constant news ticker in my head, wondering, what are they doing? How are they? You learn to live with it, but it is like you finally understand why your own parents had this seemingly oppressive level of concern about you. Now, if that was the case.
Now and I have talked a lot about recently, just like, I always feel like I've been a very appreciative son, but to now have our own daughter and like the love we have for her, it's just like we didn't thank our parents enough.
Oh, I said that I started crying in the hospital the day I had my eldest child, because I could not believe how ungrateful I had been to my mother.
Right? You kind of feel like, oh, you did this for me. Like you realize how like, oh, I love my daughter so much. Like I didn't appreciate how much my parents loved me. You
don't know.
Even though I felt like I did, but I'm crying over everything. It's really exhausting. I feel like I'm constantly dehydrated. So there was that. What was the other Super Bowl commercials that?
The Temu commercial?
The what?
The Temu.
Which one
is
was
it,
that?
and how can they afford that many spots? It was the one with the musical.
Was a scam. Like from what I'd
was
heard,
it a video game
or something on Temu, they advertise these crazy low prices. But most of the time,
was it the shop like a billionaire commercial?
Yeah,
what is that?
You don't get what you bought.
Like
they never send it, so they just take your money.
They do send it. I know this because my teenage son likes to order things on Temu, even though I always tell him it's a crapshoot.
I was going to say, my mom does too.
Extremely cheap merchandise. It is, I'm assuming, not.
It's like going to the dollar store online or something?
Kind of, yeah.
I was just shocked to see so many commercials from them, because I had heard of it, but I was like, how are they this big that they're able to afford this many spots?
No, it was kind of weird. I actually don't know. I guess there are just probably millions of 13-year-olds out there.
Yeah, I guess so.
Buying knockoff beanies for $1.
What did we think of like all the church organizations having Super Bowl commercials? That felt a little for me.
Well, we know where the money's going.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, couldn't that money be a bit more, appropriated to like people in need?
I mean, I thought it was kind of badass that Mark Wahlberg did a commercial for Lent.
Mm-hmm.
He was straight up just like, I don't think that was for profit. It was just like, starve yourself for Jesus.
Yeah, maybe.
It was interesting to me as
there was a lot of, Midwest.
Yeah.
Same, yeah. There was just a lot of religious commercials. I don't remember seeing as many in previous Super Bowls.
I haven't watched the Super Bowl, so
It's just like they commercialized religion for me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a little weird.
It's a little.
When you think about how much each commercial costs, too, you
So
think
much.
about
so much, yeah.
What is the
Yeah, the
average
money.
cost?
$7 million,
Oh my God.
right?
Well, then now you're having them like the Paramount one. Did you see that commercial for Paramount streaming? That was pretty iconic.
Everybody was in it, yeah.
Yeah, that Drew
Mhm.
Barrymore and
Where's Arnold?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the Where's Arnold one. But
Yeah.
now they're making commercials, and then you get the truncated version for the Super Bowl, and then they release the longer version online because it's like we can't afford to
Right,
air the
$7
whole
million
one.
dollars for 30
about
seconds.
$233,000 per second.
Wait, so
to
how are
advertise.
where are the churches getting that money from? Now that you mentioned, I guess
Right.
Exactly.
the Catholic Church coughed up $7 million. I guess that was an app. It was like a prayer app. I'm sorry, I'm
I don't-
obsessed with Mark Wahlberg and
We love Mark Wahlberg. Yeah.
Donations.
Right, so they paid $7 million for the spot, and then for Mark Wahlberg.
Wahlberg
Hour?
probably volunteered his time.
That's what
He
I'm
He's a
probably-
pretty
yeah.
devout Catholic.
Yeah, he is a
Okay.
very devout Catholic. Every Ash Wednesday he's posting.
He's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Speaking of commercials, did everybody see the Beyonce one?
Mm-hmm.
And what are our thoughts?
I thought it was clever. Yeah.
Like, do we think that she announced a new album? That's like the tease.
I wasn't sure. Is it not out yet?
I think she released 2 songs.
Do we not know if something dropped? Like,
It did.
No, she's releasing a new album. That's why she did it. So she's announcing a new country album. She dropped 2 songs during the Super Bowl, and she announced Sunday she will release the highly anticipated second act of her critically acclaimed Renaissance album on March 29th.
It's my birthday.
okay. March 29th.
Wait, so is that going to be like Renaissance visuals or is this the country album? I'm sorry, no, we're not like experts on. Anyway,
she also
I love
dropped 2
Beyonce.
new songs
Okay.
from the country
I
project.
did hear that. I did hear the
twangy
new country
Texas
music.
Hold'em.
Texas Hold'em was great. I listened to it on the way here. I like this direction for her.
I kind of love that Jay-Z and Beyonce were, they flashed the celebrities like watching the game. Of course, Jay-Z and Beyonce were watching it with the founder of Twitter, like hanging out with tech billionaires. Like it's very, like they're not hanging with other celebrities. They're hanging with tech billionaires.
They're moguls.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just like, yes, they're very on brand. I respected it. What did we think of Usher's halftime show?
I enjoyed it.
I loved
mean,
it.
I'm the target audience for that. Like,
It's our generation.
yeah, I got emotional. I enjoyed it. I felt like some people online didn't love it.
Everyone's a critic, but did you not like it?
I feel bad for roasting his dance moves a couple of weeks ago because like he has like a robot kind of like dance move, but like I watched his halftime show and it was good. And the second he came out on the roller skates,
The
I was
roller
like,
skating was iconic.
he has talent.
It's
The rest of my
amazing.
case, yeah.
I don't think people appreciate the catalog of hits that he has.
Hits on hits
Hit
on
after
hits.
hit. Yeah.
So many good ones.
I
And then
love
when
Usher.
when he came out with Confessions, like in my mind, I'm thinking like in a fantasy world, this is how Tom Sandoval kind of visualized how he wished he would have told Ariana. Like he would have invited her to like Swartz and Sandy's and got on stage and sang confessions to her. Like that's how Tom Sandoval's wishes he would have told Ariana that he was cheating on her by singing her confessions, like in a very performative way. That's all I could think about while watching Usher sing confessions.
In front of millions
Wow.
of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's how he like it's like that's why he didn't tell Ariana because he was waiting for the
He
perfect
was
moment.
waiting to be invited to the
He was-
Super Bowl.
and or just like waiting to invite Ariana to like a big like Tom Sandoval and the Heartbreaker. What is it? Tom Sandoval and the what? I don't. It's
And the most extras.
the most extras. But yeah, that's how I think he envisioned telling Ariana.
I loved when Usher took his shirt off.
He's looking great.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
He's looking
I
great.
think he's 45. I might be really wrong there.
He's
45.
he's older than me.
50?
He's 45, yeah.
He's
Yeah.
It's
45.
the same age as me. I'm not going to take my shirt off at the Super Bowl. I'll tell you that much. He looks great.
I'm
The-
not taking my shirt off at the Super Bowl.
And are
my
people are
20s.
giving him and Alicia Keys shit? What's going on there?
People just think that it was very intimate, the way that he held her from behind.
Yeah.
But then Swizz Beatz came out and was like, "What?
They're
are
literally performers.
What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
So-
not the Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake moment that people are trying to make it.
I'm just going to say it. I have noticed this as a trend that Gen Z is kind of prudish.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is.
They just have an issue with everyone and everything. They're kind of I'm sorry. Who are you, Gen Z?
I'm Gen Z, yeah.
Sorry.
You're
okay.
you're the exception.
Yeah.
But
I
Gen,
didn't have a problem with it, so.
Gen Z always looks at it. That it's like every situation. They're, what's wrong with this? Like you got to find something wrong.
I mean, for me, it's more like I have heard that they are actually like having less sex than any generation prior to them. And I'm like, that is very interesting.
Oh.
I think they're too occupied. There's too much to do.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
Or they don't have enough to do. You know, maybe they're just too busy sitting on their phones without like personal responsibility.
I mean, I might have been less horny if I'd had TikTok in college
Yeah, yeah.
Why do you think?
because I would have been getting dopamine from
Yeah.
scrolling instead of dick.
Right?
Mm. Yeah, it's like the people that say porn can ruin sex for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of pining over some guy or whatever or
Yeah.
trying to get laid, you're just like you're on TikTok and you're just less focused on thinking
Waiting for
of-
the phone to ring. I remember doing a lot of that. That doesn't happen anymore.
I would have got less
No.
dick if or TikTok would align. That's great.
I will say there's two Gen Zs. There's the Gen Z that grew up with iPads, and then there's the Gen Z like me where we had like the box TVs and we made food outside in the dirt. Like, so like there's the ones that like grew up with technology, and then there's the ones that like
Wait, what did you grow up with? What do we have?
like
What's-
box TVs and then like making food out of dirt. I don't know if that's something that everybody did.
what
Like,
do you mean
Wow.
making food out
like
of dirt?
not real food, but they'd send you outside and you'd like find dirt and mushrooms and then like make it into like
Hell
a
yeah.
cake.
I used
Oh,
to
yeah,
pretend
yeah.
it was tea.
Oh, so that's like a normal
was like,
childhood.
drink
Like,
this
I-
happy
yeah.
tea.
normal
and it was
childhood.
dirt.
like real pretend.
Yeah,
You
so there's-
actually had to
there's-
pretend.
There's two different types of Gen Z.
We had to work through our problems.
Yeah.
If you ever wanted to be like all the fancy people in Hollywood, you need a stylist. And you too can be just like the Hollywood elites and get your own stylist with Stitch Fix. It's amazing. If you're frustrated with not having the right wardrobe to match your ever-evolving lifestyle, whether you're going on vacation, looking for maternity wear potentially, maybe you're just bored with your own choices. Well, the stylists at Stitch Fix make sure you always have something to wear. Stitch Fix is the best way to shop new styles and brands. Think of them as your new style partner. Like your stylist will learn about your taste, just like all the Hollywood people, and collaborate with you on your looks you'll love without breaking the bank. You simply share your preferences, sizes, and budget with Stitch Fix. Sends you 5 items in a fix right to your door with your choices in mind and sizes from extra small to 3XL. They'll find your perfect fit. Try everything on at home. Keep what you like, send back what you don't. Shipping returns are always free. They have over 1,000 brands and styles, so no matter what season of your life you're in, Stitch Fix has something for you that you will love. Simply order a refresh as needed or set it and forget it. With regular fixes, you are in control.
And I feel like no matter if it's the seasons changing or like me, you're moving to a different city, a different state with maybe different weather and different styles, you're always in need of like a little refresh, some new items. But there's something so intimidating of going to the mall and not knowing what you're going to find. And so having everything just shipped to your house, the ability to try it on at home, send it back for free, it really makes it so easy to keep your closet super current and up to date and with stuff you love.
When it comes to Stitch Fix, they just get you. They do. And that's how you will feel. Try today at stitchfix.com/VIALL and you'll get 25% off when you keep everything in your fix. That's right. That's stitchfix.com/VIALL. Stitchfix.com/VIALL. If you want to age like a fine wine or like yours truly, you need to check out what the people at OneSkin are doing because it is pretty incredible. They are defying aging, not just slowing aging process. They're talking reversing the aging process. And if that sounds too good to be true, well, it's not. Because the people at OneSkin, they're breaking science. Well, their secret, OneSkin's proprietary OS1 peptide, it's the first ingredient scientifically proven to reduce the buildup of sentient cells. Those notorious zombie cells that contribute to skin aging. Fewer zombie cells mean healthier, younger looking skin with fewer lines and wrinkles, reduce age spots, and a stronger natural barrier. Something that is especially important this time of year.
I also think what's important, not only are they using this peptide, they're using science. Most skincares that you see advertised are treating the symptoms of aging and, the effects of aging on your skin rather than the root cause of aging. So I just think that between their cutting edge R&D and like everything that they've produced over at OneSkin, these scientists, we should be trusting them with, I just think everything, especially our skin.
If you're still not sold on whether OneSkin is actually doing what they claim, well, in a third-party 12-week clinical study performed by third-party research organizations, OS1 Face was clinically proven to strengthen the skin barrier, improve skin health markers, and diminish visible signs of aging. Wrinkles were diminished in 87% of users. So, OneSkin is more than skincare. It's about skin longevity, targeting the root causes of aging to help you look and feel your best at every age. Get started today with 15% off using code VIALL at oneskin.co. That's 15% off at oneskin.co with code VIALL. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show and tell them we sent you. It's time to expect more from your skincare routine and invest in the health of your skin with OneSkin. Traitors.
Yeah, I'm starting to get into it.
Well, spoiler alert, if you're not watching Traitors yet, we are going to be talking about it. So cover your ears, earmuffs.
Watch
if you're not caught up yet. But I'm really disappointed in Peter Weber. It's like he got so excited that they followed his plan that he kind of blew his wad.
Yeah, I don't think that him turning down the invitation was his fault. I think that it was the way that he handled it afterwards, like not telling anyone, looking all suspicious.
He felt so good about a decision to turn down the invitation to be a traitor that he didn't anticipate the fallout of what that meant, because immediately that they were going to suspect that someone got asked.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why he like kept it a secret. And then he has this little click. Yeah, he kind of blew his wad a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I just don't like that he's kicking everyone out. It's also making people angry. And
It's a
they're
little
just like,
clicky.
yeah.
Yeah.
They kicked Phaedra out and then MK and yeah.
He's taking over a little bit because Trishelle, she's right to suspect Phaedra, and her plan was actually better than Peter's. She's like, I don't know, I think we should kick off Phaedra because it's like everyone knows that Parvati is a traitor.
Right, so keep her around.
So we'll worry about her later. And she was like one step ahead of Peter, being like, well, what if we try to identify the other traitor? And Peter was just ignoring her.
Mm-hmm.
He got a little too cocky. It's just like he set a trap, the trap worked, and now he's Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed that there was no eviction.
Man, they got to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, but I was excited for Peter to get sent home.
I wanted Peter to get saved because Peter he's been good television. I wanted Trish. I hope Trishelle gets sent home.
Do you feel like an emotional kinship with people who've been on The Bachelor?
Depends on who it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
I like Peter. I think he's a swell guy. I like how he's playing the game overall. I don't also like how Trishelle was begging.
Every second she had something to say.
Like, I deserve this more than you. It's like, it's a game. Like, I am surprised how, like, it is just a game. And like, some of them are really...
I mean, you have to play to win. If you're going to show up, like, I would go hard if I was on a show like that.
No, I'd go hard too, but I wouldn't beg. I don't like the I deserve this more than someone else energy. Convince me why you're an asset to the team rather than you deserve it more than someone else.
Right.
Yeah, she wasn't really saying much. She was just like, save me. There was no reason.
Do you think they're going to like actually get more traitors? Because Parvati is about...
They have to.
Her time is running out. I don't know how she just survives this.
I think Parvati will go home and then they'll leave it to Phaedra to recruit someone else.
Phaedra might win.
I think Phaedra's going to win. She's good.
She's very good.
Like, it just cuts to her and she's like she's just making like facial expressions that are like perfect for every moment.
Yeah, and she's hard to suspect. Yeah. And she's very like, she's never overdoing it, and she's letting other people take the heat for her.
I do think Trishelle needs to go home for Phaedra to win.
That's a good point. Because
Trishelle's the only one on to Phaedra. And I think that if Trishelle lasts another week, she's going to make something happen.
And Trishelle, she called it out. Like, she suspected Phaedra because Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes a lot of sense because Dan called her out. And he's like, if Dan was on his last rope and he is loyal to no one.
Right. Why else would he do that?
Yeah, exactly. It would have been smart for Dan to call out another traitor. So Trishelle's all over that and no one's listening to her.
Right. Dan's fault was that he picked the wrong one, but, Trishelle's smart enough to see that he was going to pick a traitor to throw under the bus to save himself. But so
you think Phaedra, do you think Peter has a chance, or do you think Peter blew as well? I think Peter blew
I want Peter to go home.
You're over it.
Yeah. I think he didn't do much. Like, he created the suspicion and now he's just like a ringleader calling the shots. So.
All right, well, that about does it for Traitors. As a reminder, if you guys want to catch up and watch Traitors with us, it's on Peacock every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, so check it out. Catch up with us. You can binge a very bingeable show. So,
very bingeable.
We'll be getting into it next week. Do you have a favorite reality TV franchise?
I mean, I'm a Bachelor Nation girly.
Yeah.
Obviously.
How long have you been watching?
Honestly, I think I started watching like Alex Michelle. I like season 1.
You saw season 1.
Hell yeah. You have to understand, though, like, you're slightly younger than me. In the early 2000s, there was like appointment television that everybody watched. And that was one of those shows. There have been multiple seasons that I have missed. There have been so many. But I've generally, I've been a faithful watcher.
What was your favorite season?
You know, I really love Ben Higgins.
Yeah.
I don't know why. There's just there's something about that man that I find incredibly endearing. So I enjoyed that season. But I've enjoyed many.
Which ones did you not regret missing? Or did you? Oh, a better question. Which did you ever regret missing a season that you saw? Like you skipped it, and then all of a sudden,
there was one season, and I don't know if I can get all the names of the personnel, but something really dramatic happened where he like picked someone and then picked someone else at the rose ceremony, or I mean at the after the fight. Like
Peter did that.
Okay,
but Peter
did you
wasn't
watch Peter's
the first.
season?
No, I didn't.
Peter's is a good season.
Okay, that's what I regret. I regret
Peter's
the ones where
season.
crazy shit goes down in the postseason. Those are the ones I regret missing.
That was Molly and Melissa.
Okay,
with
Jason Mesnick?
Jason.
Yeah, that was the OG one.
He was the first to do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Peter's season was pretty iconic. People slept on that one. Before we get into Bachelor, we got some VPR to just address. So did you listen to the Tom Sandoval episode that we did with the Toms?
I did listen to it, and that was, I think, great journalism. It went viral for a reason. I gained a lot of insight into the man's character watching that.
What did you think? Because you're not a big VPR watcher.
I'm not, and I regret that now.
I wasn't as recently as last year. It's very easy to catch up. Because if you watch, what is it about Bachelor that, I mean, you got into it early, it was appointment television, but what about that show has kept you coming back? Like, what do you love about it?
Here's what's so interesting. And you can actually, any long running reality franchise, you can observe this happening, but the contestants start to evolve in terms of how they behave. Like when I first started watching the show, it was like people who were on the show looking for love. And now it's people who are looking to create a brand, as you know. And so I just find it fascinating to watch people assume these roles that they've created. They're playing characters because they're hoping to parlay this into something.
See, that's why you need to get into Vanderpump.
Yeah.
Because what's so fascinating about Bravo World in general is like with Bachelor, there's that start and stop. You know, they're in this bubble, they're not in the bubble. And yeah, it's interesting to watch how they handle or work with the platforms they're given. But like Vanderpump or just Bravo in general, there's these like recurring shows with recurring casts. And I've become so fascinating as someone who wasn't that big of a Bravo fan as recently as a year ago, and now is like full on into the Bravo-verse.
Yeah.
It's so unclear where these characters start and stop between like, am I watching the character on a television show, or is this who they really are? For some of them, it is, and some of it isn't. Like, you know, Tom Sandoval, like what I've learned by getting to know him is like, there's no difference between the man you're watching on a television show and the person I've got to know in real life. And other people, it's just like,
yeah, I was going to say, have you met people that you feel are fundamentally different than what they present?
Yeah, for sure. Or they're just more like, they're leaning into their character a little bit, but they're a little bit more, you know, even for me, like I think on Bachelor World, like, can I be divisive? Am I outspoken? Am I honest to a fault at times? Sure. But like, I'm not like that every step of the way, you know, in life, or like, I'm not always seeking out the drama. And, you know, like, so I think a lot of ways, aspects of me weren't like fully represented. And I think that with Bachelor, it's easier to silo someone because we only see them for a season or two. So it's harder to find out who, you know, they are as a person, because they're only siloed into one character. But with these recurring characters on these shows, you're seeing them season in and season out. So we've seen their softer side, we've seen their harsher side, we've seen their messy side, we've seen their non-messy side, and it's just like, that's just kind of who they are. They've had their villain season, they've had their hero season, and everything in between, and it's just been really fascinating to watch.
It's fun watching people get a redemption arc.
Yeah,
for sure.
But I do feel like with some of the housewives, I've noticed it's just a little bit more like, it's the job, you know, especially when they lean into the drama. I feel like some housewives love the drama and some housewives are more like, you know, it's like I have to show up to a dinner party and yell sometimes.
Yeah.
With Vanderpump, I feel like those are those characters. Do we have that music video? Did you, your team is here for the audience. They're big Vanderpump. What did you think of Scheana's music video? The one they flashed in the last episode.
I remember when the season aired, and then just watching it.
That was a jump scare.
It was.
Do we have it? Can we watch it?
I can't believe that's a thing that anyone surrounding her in her world, I don't know what her team is like, was like, yeah, good idea.
I didn't know this existed. Do you think it was her Kim Kardashian moment?
I think she was trying for it to be her Kim K moment.
I do.
Is this old or new? Was this
It's an
unearthed?
older video
Okay.
that she dropped. So for those of you who don't know,
It was scrubbed from the internet for allegations of being violated, like personal allegations.
it was scrubbed from the internet?
Yeah. So like you could probably find it like deeper in there, but from like a public standpoint, you can't find it.
Why was it scrubbed? And how do you scrub? How does someone...
Her PR team, it's the person that was in the video with her said that he felt violated. So
Oh.
He
Yeah,
felt
that's-
violated. Oh my God.
this is what people think. So it's
And I
scrubbed.
wasn't a Vanderpump fan like 2 years ago. So was this a big moment in the Vanderpump world when this video...
I mean, it was just wild watching it, you know,
Yeah.
It was
because
silly.
they show the tape, the like,
It was basically like Skinamax.
Yeah.
It was...
It was raunchy.
And apparently it wasn't that scrubbed because Vanderpump like
they
put
aired
a
clips
put a clip in the episode.
and a pretty, scandalous clip too. Like the part of the music video that they shared.
It was
Yeah,
I
everything is gone.
Yeah.
oh my God. It's so how do you think they got the clip?
I'm sure Scheana was like, it's on my private drive. Here it is.
When you said Kim Kardashian moment, you were referring to Kim Kardashian's sex tape.
Yes.
I thought you were talking about when Kim Kardashian tried to be a pop star with her song Jam.
Oh, I was unaware. When did that happen?
It was a long time ago, but it lives on
It's a
in my
really
heart.
good song.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Are you being serious? You like it?
I mean, it's similar to like a Good as Gold sounding. It's like one more shot of tequila.
Yeah.
That's like literally how she sounds.
Yeah.
2011.
She's not a vocalist.
They play in my jam jam. They play in my jam jam. That's how it goes.
Is that the song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I think I gotta give Scheana credit for just trying and failing and keep going. You know, the shameless execution.
I like when people put themselves out there.
Yeah, you know. But it was Nally and I were watching it, and it was it's an alarming video.
It's a jump scare.
Just really, I would love to ask Scheana, like, what did we think the reaction would be? And she got sounds like she got a lot of heat from it. And for her co-star being like, no, I need you to scrub the internet. Did she get sued or something?
I don't remember. I mean, clearly Vanderpump
Let me
has the clip because they showed it, you know, seasons back. So I'm sure that's theirs.
Yeah. Fascinating. I saw that. I had so many more questions about this video. You were mentioning before we started your opinion on breaking up with people and moving on, and how Tom Sandoval in our interview seemed to be resistant to allowing Ariana to still show anger towards him.
Yeah, because
I wonder if you could elaborate on
no.
that.
So I guess my perspective on this is I'll fully admit that I have been the villain in breakups before, for sure.
Like if you break up with someone, as I always say, you have to let them hate you.
Absolutely.
Gotta be the bad guy.
The way I see it is anyone whose heart I have broken is entitled to hate me for the rest of their life. They can talk as much shit about me as they want. They can want the earth to swallow me up, and that's fine. They can do that. So for me, I was fascinated watching that interview because it felt like I actually have empathy for him as a person, because I feel like being hated on that scale, I think, is difficult for anyone.
Yes.
But I think that being frustrated that there's residual pettiness or a lack of forgiveness there, or an inability to move on, to me feels very entitled and strange.
Yeah. I don't like. As a fan watching it, do I think Ariana kind of maybe needs to move on a little bit? Yeah, totally, for sure. Like watching the last episode, I think she was even losing Katie, like in the after show. And like Katie was trying to be a friend to Ariana, like asking her questions. And like, you know, I get it. She's like, Tom doesn't deserve my trust when she's going over bills and stuff. But like, I'll say this about Ariana and Tom in the house. You're still investing a lot of energy into Tom Sandoval. And it's kind of like, now she's got another boyfriend. And I get it. I get you don't want him to have the house. I get he doesn't deserve it. But you're still giving a lot of shits to Tom Sandoval that she doesn't need to give a shit. Maybe it's for the show. I mean, maybe she's just like taking one for the team, and it's like if they don't have this storyline, what do they have? Because right now it's a lot of like their living situation.
The show was also filmed very shortly after this all went down, right?
Yeah, I mean, they basically started filming weeks after they filmed the reunion, maybe like a month or something.
This was filmed like 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah, it was in the summer, right after Tom got back from Special Forces. So Tom was still like trying to date Raquel, who, by the way, was in fashion. She walked the New York Fashion Week, and I say good for her. I like that she's actually doing something else other than talking about Scandival on her show and actually like moving forward with her life, because it's just a little,
That's the smartest thing she can do.
Well, now she's just like blaming Tom for everything, which to me, it doesn't sound like she's learned much. She doesn't get to blame Tom.
Yeah.
It's like, Tom made me do this. Tom, it's like, yeah, I get everyone hates Tom Sandoval right now. And I just don't think Tom Sandoval is that sophisticated to manipulate anyone into doing anything. Like, you have to take some personal accountability.
I think it's probably a panic response. Like if I was her age and I was experiencing like that level of public hate, I would do anything I could to squirrel my way out of that narrative and shift the blame.
I guess.
Speaking transparently.
But shifting the blame just makes her, I don't think anyone has an appetite for that for her.
No, they probably don't.
I do like that she actually is moving on with her life, and good for her for getting into she is a model. So what show did she model for?
She did the Glotty by Johanna Hernandez show.
Okay.
And she felt a sense of relief after she finished her walk.
Okay, yeah.
I do think
like that after everything.
Yeah. Going to the bathroom.
Yeah, literally.
I just say good for her. I'm glad she's doing something else and pivoting, because, again, quitting the show only to talk about the show just isn't it. Let us do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think Raquel would ever come on and try to, on this show, by the way, is what I mean, and to give an interview that Tom couldn't? Do you think she could answer my questions in a way Sandoval couldn't?
Would you watch the show if we did that?
Yeah, of course I'd watch that.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't think she will.
I think she would try. Because she's using her show to speak bad about Sandoval, so she can't just keep like repeating it,
Which makes me think she would come on and do the exact same thing that Tom did, but just maybe a little less chaotic.
It would definitely be less chaotic.
But I think that she would come on and double down the same way he did.
Yeah, but I think it would be an opportunity for her to not to.
Yeah, just like it was for Tom. But I mean, she's doing it on her own show, so why wouldn't she do it here, is my thought.
Only because I feel like I don't think she's totally in charge of the show she's making over there.
Oh.
Yeah. I think
that is a good point.
The powers that be are trying to milk all the scandal out, and she's getting bad advice.
Right, because they're like, what else would this show be about if not for that?
I mean, I didn't watch this show or know who any of these people were prior to this scandal. So in a way, it was like incredibly fruitful for all involved.
Truly. Except for Tom Schwartz, it seems like. He really didn't benefit at all.
Yeah. He talks about that in the episode where he talks about, what was it, Schwartz and Sandy's, and how the business partners were like, Sandoval, you need to remove yourself.
Wow.
But then Schwartz was like, but I didn't want you to fully remove yourself.
Yeah, the friendship, I really would like to see. I'm glad they can be friends and all, but like Schwartz really needs to work on being okay with people not liking him. It's not a good skill. That's not a good trait, the whole like people-pleasing obsession. I don't know.
Well, he even says when they're out getting drinks, Tom Sandoval says, do you think that you could be friends with me again? And Schwartz was like, I don't know. Well, I'm going to do what's best for me. And I was just like, yeah, right.
I don't buy it at all. Yeah. The most frustrating part about that friendship is that you just know, even just watching the interview, that Sandoval wouldn't do for Schwartz what Schwartz always does for Sandoval, which Katie always pointed out. It's just like, he wouldn't be this type of friend to you.
Yeah.
The loyalty that Schwartz has for Sandoval. It's just kind of one-sided. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sundays. If you love your dog, well, then you need to make sure they're eating healthy food, not just the crap that you can just buy at any pet store. No, invest in the healthier dog, because it matters. Our furry little canines are never with us long enough. Their, lifespans are shorter than humans. It's heartbreaking, but let's do what we can to extend those beautiful lives by giving them healthy, good food. And Sundays is doing just that. Sundays is a fresh dog food made from a short list of human-grade ingredients. Sundays was co-founded by Dr. Tori Waxman, a practicing veterinarian who tests and formulates every version of each recipe. Sundays contains 90% meat, 10% superfoods, and 0 synthetic nutrients and artificial ingredients. Dog parents report noticeably healthy improvements in their pups, including softer fur, fresher breath, better poops, and even more energy after switching to Sundays. Unlike other fresh dog food, Sundays does not require refrigeration or preparation because of their air drying process. Just pour and serve. It's super convenient, and it's great to travel with. Some of those other dog foods, very difficult to travel with if you are someone on the go and you bring your pups with you.
Seriously, over the weekend, we hosted a little get-together, and everyone was asking me how old Kiki was, and they did not believe it, and they were like, she is far too energetic. She is far too youthful. And I said it's Sundays.
When you start a Sunday subscription, you'll automatically get 20% off and free shipping on every reorder. Cancel or pause their subscription anytime with their 100% satisfaction guarantee. Every order ships right to your door, so you'll never worry about running out of dog food again. It's incredibly easy to serve. It's easy to order. Everything about Sundays is easy. And the best part is you have the peace of mind that your dogs are getting high quality food. To get 40% off your first order of Sundays, go to sundaysfordogs.com/VIALL. Again, that's sundaysfordogs.com/VIALL, or use code VIALL at checkout. Again, sundaysfordogs.com/VIALL. All right, Bachelor.
Yes.
Let's get into it. What do you think of Joey? How are you enjoying this season?
I'm enjoying it a lot, actually. It's interesting for me as I have gotten older and the contestants stay the same age. Or in this season, they seem very young to me. So it's like, for me, watching people in their 20s navigate the situation there's a whole new kind of facet to it now that I'm a middle-aged person.
Do you like it more or less now that you have? Well, because when you started watching it, you were in your early 20s.
Yeah, I was. I like watching it more. I mean, I can kind of live vicariously through these people who are, embarking on a new adventure and looking for the one. And Joey, I think, is very charming.
Yeah, he's very charming.
Yeah.
We haven't had a charming bachelor in a while.
Yeah, he seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And the girls, I mean, they're definitely bringing the drama. I have not been, I don't think, ever so triggered by a contestant than I am by Sydney.
These pants I'm wearing?
Uh-huh.
I bought them from Sydney.
From her boutique?
Yep.
Did you actually?
I did. I didn't realize this. So I found out through the internet, and Ashley Iaconetti, dear friend of mine, got her on the show. And Ashley talked about this because she's defending her friend for what.
Okay, so they were friends before? Because I saw Ashley with Sydney on Instagram, and I was like, what?
Yeah, no, that's how Sydney got on the show.
Okay.
And when I was on my book tour, I went to Rhode Island, and Ashley and Jared have their coffee shop. And Nally and I went there, and apparently Sydney was at the coffee shop. That's where I first met her. And then we went to her thrift store, which is a lovely store, by the way. And I got these jeans. And there are some great vintage Levi's. I couldn't agree more with you. I've never been so triggered by a contestant. But I do want, and I hate that I have to always say this, but can people stop just actually harassing people? Like, she is receiving, like,
oh yeah, that's ridiculous.
Death threats. People are leaving nasty, like, you're getting adult women leaving voicemails to her store saying just horrific things. I don't think Sydney can blame her behavior totally on the edit, but this show is edited, and they do edit out context, and they do oversimplify. And I don't think anyone should ever be judged about who they are from simply knowing them from watching The Bachelor. So, like, we can have our takes and we can be triggered and we can be critical, but people, stop it. Like, you can't criticize Sydney for what she's doing and then go online and send these people messages and bully their businesses and try to harass them just because you don't like a character.
Well, I think people have a misplaced sense of justice, perhaps, because they felt like we didn't really see consequences for Sydney on the show other than her getting the boot.
But sorry, Dorothy, from wherever the fuck. It's not your job.
Yeah, it's not your job. You're not that. You can't be the vigilante here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree.
But yeah, Sydney, I mean, props to her. She got me I bought these jeans from her, so they are very nice. But yes, I've never been so triggered by someone every step of the way. Did you see her get ready with me while I explained gaslighting video?
I didn't, but I mean, she would understand gaslighting.
I don't know if she does though.
Okay, because she's
she gave the internet's version of gaslighting, which is basically
I know,
like
bullshit.
It's just like, well, if someone says that didn't happen, then they're gaslighting. Sydney's definition of gaslighting would have meant I was gaslighting Tom in the interview when Tom accused me of being late, and I was like, no, I wasn't late. That didn't happen that way. That was, according to Sydney, that's gaslighting. Is like when you feel manipulated or disagree with someone's take on a situation, apparently you're being gaslit.
Yeah, and
according to Sydney.
That's not what it means.
But also it's just the double downness of it all. Like you can't sit there and blame the edit and talk about how, that's not what happened. I was right. They were wrong. And then do the very thing that people are criticizing you for. And I don't think Sydney fully realizes why she's being criticized.
No, I don't think so either. And I think that's what's so frustrating about watching her.
Yeah,
is that she's totally oblivious to, her role in this.
And she 100, like she said in this episode, I know I'm right. And that was the most, and I say this without knowing who she is as a person, that was the most Sydney thing to say. And you know who it reminds me of? Like Maria and Sydney? Corinne and Taylor from my season.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we haven't had a lot of Corinne since Corinne. But Maria seems to have that kind of Corinne energy. And it's a very fine line, which is why a lot of people can't pull it off. It's the, listen, this isn't that serious energy. Like, whatever. Who gives a shit? Like, it is The Bachelor. Let's have a little fun. And Sydney and her little mean girl group are just so serious about The Bachelor.
Yeah.
And they've watched all the seasons, and there's certain rules, and you have to act a certain way. And Sydney is there to make friends. That's what's ironic about this. She's there to make friends, and she's made her little group of friends. And I've always said this. I say this every season. If there's ever a bully in any season, the bully is the house.
Oh, wow.
So think about it.
No.
You have a collection of 25 to 35 people. It's high school-esque. I don't care how old you are. When you go on The Bachelor, you're back in high school. It's cliquey. You immediately are drawn to people who, remind you of you or have similar interests.
Yeah.
And then there's a competing element to it. And so when it's very easy in this environment to see people who are different than you as bad.
Right.
Because I wouldn't operate that way. If they like that person for that behavior, then they must not like me. And it's very kind of oversimplified.
Are there people in the house who have like an early awareness that they're not going to win, and they are there simply to survive and to maintain whatever privilege they have in the hierarchy?
I think there's yes.
Because that's the vibe I got from Sydney. I don't think Sydney ever believed that she was going to be chosen. You think she did?
I think there's a couple different types of people.
Okay.
I think there's people who pretty quickly self-aware, just like this person. I'm not into this person. They're not into me. I made some friends. I'm going to stick around as long as I can and just have some fun.
Right.
And then there's people who, because it's the lead's job to lead people on, to give every individual an attention, and to focus on building a connection with everyone. That's the lead's job. And there's people like Sydney who, and I don't know this to be true about her, but she gives off the vibe to me that she believes any little thing that Joey would say and convince herself that she does have a connection. And so I think it's obvious to everyone else in the house but her that I don't think there is a connection at all. But I don't think she sees it that way. I think she thinks there's a connection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
And I think there's a
interesting.
lot of people like Taylor. I mean, watching Sydney and Maria just reminds me so much of Corinne and Taylor. And like, you could not convince Taylor that she was wrong. I mean, if I had to hear that she went to John Hopkins,
I know.
more
We all
fucking
got tired
time,
of that. Yeah.
and that whole like self-righteous, attitude, and like I'm sure Maria, said some things that ruffled Sydney. I'm sure she's guilty of all the things that Sydney said. It doesn't even matter.
I think Maria is guilty, and this is possibly just my crush talking, but I think she's just guilty of being incredibly hot, and that's problematic for some people.
Yes.
I think she's so hot, so charismatic. And that's why Sydney, there's one point where she totally exposed herself and was like, I don't care if she did it or not. She needs to go.
Yeah.
I don't care if she did it or not. She needs to go. It's like you just perceive her as a threat. That's it.
When she came out, when she went to do the whole outfit change,
Yeah.
I think Sydney and some of those girls were just like, I would never. And the fact that they would never, like I said, they see that as bad. They see that as
Right.
evil. They see that as low character. And Maria's just like, it's not that serious. I'm just having fun. I mean, and Sydney's just like, no, this isn't fun. This is The Bachelor. This is the fucking Bachelor. I'm here to find love. This is not about having fun. And like they'll see as like goofing around or jokes is disrespectful to the process
Yeah.
and shit like that. But it's so, just to have that self-righteous attitude. It's just, again, it's not about who said what. Who gives a shit? These are adult women who just might not be getting along.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're being bullied. And it's the way Sydney talks about it's affecting my health. What I mean, it was her.
She's breaking out.
She's
That's what she
breaking
said.
out.
Oh,
Her
no,
digestive
she
system.
nailed
her-
the victim monologue of like, yes, my mental health, bullying, those words, those buzzwords
Yes.
that people use.
And it's scary because it's like Sydney, she believes it.
Yeah.
And I say this on good authority that she got back from the show and went to her friends Ashley and Jared to talk about her experience. And I guarantee you, she felt like she told that story as if you'll never guess what happened. I'm going to look so good. This Maria girl, she's going to look crazy and awful and blah, 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 blah. I guarantee you that was her perspective. And I think it seems like Sydney's going around, again, blaming the edit. Oh, you don't understand. You don't understand. And again, Sydney's the type of person, it seems, again, I don't know who she is, but from watching the show, it just doesn't, she can't see the other side.
Yeah.
She can't understand that it's not about, whether Maria said or didn't say something. It's and the fact that she is, trying to talk to us and educate us on gaslighting when maybe she should be educating herself on like projecting.
Yes.
Yes, she should be educating herself on projecting because she's just projecting her own insecurities onto Maria. Because like that, it just comes down to, I think she's just threatened by Maria. She's threatened by her charisma. She sees the chemistry that Joey has for Maria and not for her.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's so obvious.
What do you think about the part where Sydney says that Maria told Leia to shut the fuck up? And then they have this whole debate of whether or not that was or wasn't said.
Well, I laughed when Maria was like, I would never say something like that. I'm like, okay, you've never told someone to shut the fuck up? Like,
Yeah.
of course you've said,
Yeah.
like the fact that we're watching The Bachelor. And by the way, another reason why you need to watch Vanderpump, because it's comical watching The Bachelor and watching these fights over like two men or two women, being like, I would never tell someone to shut the fuck up. How could anyone say something so horrific and so grotesque? You would say, shut the fuck up. They talk so hyperbolically about like just having an argument about someone. On
Yeah.
Vanderpump, people are just doing the most diabolical things to each other. And that's real drama. So if you like, it's
Yeah.
such manufactured drama on The Bachelor. Watch Vanderpump and you will get real drama. You will get people who will sleep with sex workers and then gaslight their friends and get them to believe other people.
You sold me.
It's
I know it actually is really funny. It is like so kind of ABC, to be honest, that they were treating like shut the fuck up. Like it was like some.
Yeah, I would never say shut the fuck up. And then
Yeah.
you got Joey being like, that really scared me. Did you tell her to shut the fuck up? I mean, maybe she did. I mean, imagine, again, when I say the bully's the house, you show up, you don't know anyone. No one's really your friend. You're all by yourself. You got producers who like maybe you can trust, but not really. You have a bunch of people who you're kind of becoming friends with, but everyone's competing for the same thing. So really you are alone. And then you meet, these women have been friends for what?
2 seconds.
8 days?
Maybe even less.
And then, and they're being catty. And you can tell Maria doesn't have a lot of friends in the house. What's her name? The sister?
Allison.
That's like her only friend. They kind of point that out. Right. So because most of the women they seem to be Team Sydney. It's like the well-behaved, and they're such mean girls. Like they are deciding that they're deciding how you're supposed to behave in that house.
Right.
And if you don't behave the way the collective, the majority thinks that you should behave, then you're an outsider. And if you're an outsider, you're bad. And that's how it happens every season. That's why I always say the house is the bully.
No, it's true.
Anyone who's accusing someone of being a bully is usually the bully in the house. What was it?
Yeah, we see at the
Yeah.
end with Leia.
I mean, to sit there and say like, I can't believe that you were nice to Maria. It was the most mean girl shit to say. And keep in mind, I understand loyalty. I'm all for being loyal. I'm all for not being two-faced, but you've known these people for 8 days.
I know.
So you're expecting this girl to like still be mean to Maria because why? Because like Sydney decided to put her business where it didn't belong.
Yeah, poor Medina is just caught in this.
I
and
know.
she's
Medina's just like,
what
she
did I-
said
Medina's
what-
getting hate too, by the way,
why?
online.
Why?
Because
Just
just of her,
Because
like,
she's pulled into it.
yeah, because she was like, she didn't hate Maria enough or something. I don't know. I just saw that she had posted
Oh,
some
so people
vile.
are taking Leia's side then?
No, I
Yes,
just think people are
some.
so triggered by
Mm.
Sydney and this like what appears to be the false accusation of bullying and verbal abuse, and that Medina was like kind of what started it all, and Maria's comment. It was like Sydney was defending Medina.
They're saying that Medina should have been the one to defend herself, not Sydney, right? So they're getting mad that Sydney's
Maybe that was what
that's what it
caused
was.
it.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I think Medina's going to come across. I think Bachelor Nation will like how she handled herself this episode because she was
agree.
just like, I think she really pushed back.
I think
in the
Leia
best
came
possible way.
off really.
Mean girl.
Yes.
Mean girl.
I didn't know she had that in her.
I know. I was really sad about it because I liked her.
Yeah, and
Well, she went from burning up the card because she didn't want to be a mean girl. That was our first intro to her. To then have her do this, it's like you feel a sense of like letdown or like betrayal because you're like, we were all rooting for you.
I know. She seemed
But
like
again-
a girl's girl.
I don't know if we've seen this on a 2-on-1 before, but Joey just fully speaking to both of them of like, what connection do you see us having at this point? And like, talk to me about like how invested you are in this connection, why you think we're going to
Mhm.
work. I thought that was a really interesting question and to see their answers on both sides.
And then Sydney's like their answers were so telling. Sydney's is like, I did this for you. I did this. It's very much me. I deserve this. I did this right. I did this for you. And Maria's just like, well, listen, I mean, I liked you, but like all of a sudden, I don't know. We'll see. But I'm caught up in this bullshit. Maria handled it perfectly.
I apologize if you get these questions all the time, but I need to know, is there a scenario where the producers would say to Joey, like, actually, you need to know that Maria did not bully anybody and Sydney is
No, for the
feeding-
most part,
no, they don't
wouldn't-
interfere to that degree.
They would not, for the most part, they would not interfere. The
Okay.
only way they would interfere is if, let's say, we're getting towards the end and Maria was Joey's number one. And nevertheless, Maria was involved in house drama and it got its way to Joey.
Mm-hmm.
And Joey was having second thoughts about his number one. And let's say he didn't like anyone else. And it was like, it's
Okay.
Maria or bust.
So they
Mm.
would, then the outcome would
They
be,
might try to protect the lead's favorite at that point. Be like, consider the sources, these,
okay,
they don't, that they might do that.
but not at this stage.
Not at this stage.
Okay. Thank you.
The fact that there is a 2-1 this early, unfortunately for Maria, that's all. It's his kiss of death. If Maria was in Joey's top 3 at this point, I don't see any way that they would allow a 2-1-1 to happen this early.
I kind of disagree. I think that she's going to go far.
I
think
kind of thought
Maria's
that
gonna
too,
go
but you
far.
would know better than I would, Nick.
I mean, going far and being someone's top 3 are two different things.
I think she's going to be top 4, top 3.
Well, Corinne was top 4.
Right. That's what I was actually going to ask you.
Corinne was
Corinne's number 1 in my heart.
Corinne,
Corinne.
Corinne, excellent television. But I'm just saying, when the lead, after every day, kind of regroups with their producers, and they kind of do a whole like power ranking of like, all right, where are you at with, your connections? Who do you like the most? Because that matters. I mean, they're, like I said, it's 1A and 1B in terms of priority. Making an excellent TV show is top priority, first and foremost, obviously. But making sure that the lead finds love is up there.
Yeah.
Not quite as high as making great television, but it's a very close second. So they do prioritize that. They want the lead to make a genuine connection. So they are asking the lead, all right, have your feelings changed? Has someone moved up? Where are you at? And so, for Corinne, like I was never going to pick Corinne. If I didn't care about also making excellent television, I would have sent Corinne home night 1.
T.
That is
like,
tea.
I would have, nothing about Corinne like spoke like this is someone I'm going to end up with.
Well, on behalf of the audience, I thank you for keeping her around because it
She-
really did.
Yes.
Yeah.
I took great pride in also helping you could do both. I was like, I only had real one connection. So everything else was about,
So
great-
you think
great
Maria's just
television.
there for the TV then?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Joey night 1 seemed to have a visceral reaction to Maria coming out of the limo. He seems attracted to her. She does have good chemistry. Joey does seem like someone who plays things safe. He seems, drama.
Definitely.
Wants
He
to be
seems
drama-free.
drama averse for
Drama
sure.
averse. So just knowing that Maria is a part of drama, I think will be a turn off for him long term. I'm just saying that if Joey was like, I really think I could pick Maria. I think Maria is someone that I might end up with. There's no way she gets a 2-on-1. I really don't think that. I think he's just like, I think he's got at least 2 or 3 much stronger connections.
Jen.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not as okay. I think he kind of likes her.
Okay. I love this. Okay, keep going.
Who's got the first one-on-one?
Was that Daisy?
Daisy,
Oh,
yeah.
I like her. I don't know if he does, but I do.
I think she is Bachelorette gold. I think if you're a producer on this show, even if if Daisy's Joey's favorite, I could see the producers trying to sabotage that relationship
So that she'll be
so that she could be. I mean, she is Bachelorette gold. I mean, as dumb as it sounds, like Bachelor Nation in general loves a blonde.
Interesting.
They do. They seem to go more nuts for the blondes, like the Emily Maynards and the cochlear implants. Great story arc there.
She's just very likable.
She's very likable.
She's doing really well on social media.
She's very charismatic, and she's just such an obvious choice. I mean, like, I don't think we've had such an obvious lead choice from any respective season in the past several seasons as obvious as Daisy.
If not her, who else would you guys think would be the next Bachelor?
I have no. That's the thing. First of all, we're only like what, week 4?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's too. That's kind of my point, is that Daisy is so obvious of a choice that usually it's just too early to tell. I could see the powers that be as it gets towards the end, especially if like Joey's on the fence.
I will say Joey said that Daisy made him feel special. So
Joey does a good job of articulating. He does a really good job of making seem like every girl is his front runner when he's talking about them. He does a very good job that way. He's just like, in this moment, I could only think about you, or I can only think about her. And it's just like, oh, very interesting thing to say. Someone you're not going to pick. No, not Autumn. Who else we got? Who's, I keep saying this every episode, the girl who brought him the doll.
You like Kelsey. I think that's Kelsey A.
Yeah.
Yes. She is.
Oh, yeah.
She is top 3 for sure.
Okay.
Let's
see how that plays out. I think you're right.
Mark my words. Daisy's top 3. Oh, who's the one he had a connection with?
I think he likes Rachel a lot.
Who got the group date rose?
Oh, Kelsey.
Kelsey T.
Oh, wait, Lexi. I thought he had a connection with her.
Oh,
watch out for Kelsey T.
Okay.
Watch out for Kelsey T. I think she could be top 4. Lexi, for sure, strong. And that's what I'm saying. So I think like Maria, he thinks she's fun. I think I don't think she's in his top 3 in terms of, hey, I could pick her.
Wow.
And I think with Daisy, if Joey's on the fence, they're going to want Daisy to be the Bachelorette so bad that's happened in the past.
I never considered that they could sabotage a relationship to try and
get a Bachelorette. I think they walk a fine line. I think they walk a very fine line, but I think there have been conversations in the past during so once they separate them, final 4, they'll separate. Usually, in previous seasons, they've had them live together, but it's a lot of independent time with the final 4's experience on The Bachelor is very different than everyone else's. In a typical non-COVID season, filming's 8 to 9 weeks, and it takes 4.5 to 5 weeks to get to top 4, which means you have 3.5 to 4 weeks of filming with only 4 left. So that filming experience, that you do a lot more B-roll, you have a lot more downtime, you're by yourself, you're talking with producers, you really get to know the team a lot more. It's just way more intimate. And within that time, there's a lot of conversations with producers in the final 4. It's a fine line, but there have been conversations of finalists who have, the powers that be have come down and just maybe tease the idea of being the next lead.
Oh.
And plant that seed in their head and maybe...
And that must be very alluring to some people.
Oh, for sure.
Perhaps more so than true love.
Yeah. That's been done. And some people haven't taken the bait. I believe Susie Evans was propositioned before she ended up with Clayton. I believe, allegedly. It's been done before.
Okay.
So I just think Daisy's such an obvious choice for the next lead that if there was any chance at Joey not picking Daisy, they gave him as many other options as possible.
Do you have any insight, not to derail this particular topic, but do you have any ideas who the Golden Bachelorette might be?
I don't. No, I really don't.
I love the old people.
I heard on the radio this morning, I don't know how accurate this is. I heard that they want to pick someone who at least got to the fantasy suite level.
Ugh.
So then we're basically left with two options.
Who did you hear this from?
On the Minnesota radio, because they were like, they want
The
someone who's been
insiders,
a fantasy
the-
suite. So
They want someone who fucks.
so they were like, maybe it'll be Leslie from Minneapolis.
So the good
Maybe.
people on the local radio in Minneapolis are in the know?
Yes.
I mean, I think they typically, in general, in most seasons, like to cast someone who's top 4.
Yeah.
I think with Golden Bachelor, it's going to be a little different. I think the way they pick it, I think there's a lot more variables. One, do they want to do it? I don't think every Golden Lady is down to take that much pressure.
Yeah.
Family considerations, health considerations go into effect.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more things to consider than just were they top 4, and they have to be able to carry it. And I think there are some ladies that didn't make top 4 that could be excellent bachelorettes.
I can't believe they found enough dudes to
I'm-
do a Golden Bachelor.
I agree. That must have been how many 65 or older men are down to be vulnerable.
Down to be vulnerable and to have an age-appropriate partner. Because a lot of guys that age who look good on paper are not looking to date a 70-year-old woman. Let's be real.
T.
Yeah.
So
It'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm excited to see who it ends up being.
Are they going to do a Golden Bachelor in Paradise?
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That would
I
be
think they
great.
need to scrap Bachelor in Paradise and get back to Bachelorette. I think with the rise of reality competition shows and having reality stars compete, I think they need to bring back Bachelorette. Did you ever watch Bachelorette?
So here's the thing. I don't typically like competitive reality. I know that technically The Bachelor is competitive,
Sure.
but it's a different kind of competition.
You want real stakes.
I don't want to see people fighting for immunity idols or anything.
Okay.
That's just not my vibe.
Okay.
Do you think we could add Who Wants to Go to Paradise as a category of why people would come on the show or try to create drama?
What do you mean?
Do we think Sydney has in her head, maybe I'll go to Paradise?
I mean, I think everyone who goes on The Bachelor, I mean, I remember when I was The Bachelor, producers would tell me as soon as I'd send them home, they'd start texting them about Paradise. So since Paradise started, it's just become a feeder system for
Yeah.
Paradise, So yes, I think everyone who goes on The Bachelor isn't just thinking about being on The Bachelor, Bachelorette these days. They're now thinking about, oh, well, just go. Even if you go home night 1, you have a shot to go on Paradise. So it's at the top of everyone's mind. But Paradise did not perform last season. It did not do well.
I mean, nobody ended up together, right? They
No,
all
they
broke
ended
up.
up together. It just
I think the cast was.
I don't know what they're doing over there. But Paradise was I think an absolute bust this season.
I even fell off as a viewer. I didn't
Yeah.
even finish it up.
And it was one of the better ones out there. Back in the day, Paradise was excellent television.
Who
Oh,
would
yeah.
you guys want to see from this season at Paradise?
I mean, Maria seems to be perfect she's born to be in Paradise.
Absolutely.
It's too early to tell the rest of them. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure they'd all be fine. I don't know. What do we make of the one-on-one with Lexi? What do you think of that conversation? Her potentially not being able to.
Oh yeah.
She had stage 5 endometriosis.
That is right. It was humorous to me in a really dark way when she said that she had stage 5 endometriosis and Joey went, "Oh no." And she goes, "Do you know what that is?" And he goes, "No."
It sounds very scary.
But it does sound scary. I understand his response. It was just okay, doctor.
What do we make of the conversation in general?
I
And
felt
how-
like it was incredibly brave of her, actually. I love transparency around fertility. Those conversations, I think, are really important. Women's reproductive health is always treated as this taboo topics. I'm sorry, I'm going to get on my soapbox now,
No,
but
go-
for
get on your
me,
soapbox.
yes, please let's talk about endometriosis on The Bachelor. I thought it was really cool of her to put that out there, and also it's a conversation that you have with someone when you're dating.
Yeah, it was excellent. Again, from a TV standpoint and awareness, excellent. I think Joey handled it perfectly.
Yeah,
It was handled perfectly from a TV standpoint. But how could you and I think Lexi one day will find the man of her dreams. I don't think it's going to be Joey. And he will love her, he will love her, and they will figure out, like they said, there's a million ways to start a family. But like, how is this, like, they're strangers to each other right now, Lexi and Joey. And if you're taking it like on face value, to have Lexi sit down date one, this is my truth, this is what I'm dealing with, and have a total stranger who wants kids, sounds like, how do you expect Joey to even put that into consideration when he is choosing who he wants to be with?
So you're saying maybe that conversation should have waited.
I mean, I look at it separately. Like like, not every person is casted on The Bachelor to actually fall in love with the lead. Not every person and not every story is for Joey's love story. It's for the audience. It's for representation. It's for, talking about various topics that, of all the million people watching, relatable stories that people are connecting with. And yeah, there's, a topic like this, like you said, isn't talked about enough. There's not enough representation. It is very taboo. And so from that standpoint, it's beautiful,
Right. But from actually
expecting Joey to put that into consideration. I mean, like, Joey comes in The Bachelor. It's like, first of all, it's anyone who's The Bachelor, Bachelorette, hey, we're going to pick 30 people, give or take. We're not going to ask you any questions, really. We're not going to get your input. You're going to have no input, which I will say, till they ever change, I think it's absolutely idiotic for the franchise to not include the lead in the casting process. I get why they do it. They want them to be completely in the dark. They want all their reactions to be the first time they're seeing these people to be on camera.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they would have better television if the lead was more emotionally invested in more people. I think most of the time they're only invested in one or two, maybe three. And I think if you had a lead that was really torn between 3 and 4 people, the television would be through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think they get the input at all. So they get a bunch of people who don't know these leads casting for things that are not really about connections. And so they're not really casting for these people. They're casting for these stories, right? So it's already a lot of pressure. So they're already saying, we're going to pick 30 people. We're not really going to be thinking about what you like or what your preferences are, but you're still going to get expected to pick one of them in less than 9 weeks and get engaged.
Right.
And now we're going to add in all these personal stories of, child trauma, breakup stories, cheating, health scares, real heavy situations that people all have to go through. And yet you're having these people have these conversations and they're total strangers. So Lexi and Joey do not have this emotional connection that would be required for someone to say, Lexi, I love you. And that's all that matters. And we'll get through this. We'll find a way.
Because it's like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like bringing it up on speed dating.
Yeah. And so to expect Joey to truthfully not take that into consideration. I mean, Joey did it perfectly.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't pick Lexi, I hope they don't bring this story back up and make it seem like he didn't pick her because of this, because that would be very unfair to Joey, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Because there's no way him and Lexi can build the type of emotional connection that would allow someone who, may want to have kids to like, we'll get through it, babe. We'll fight through it. We'll find other alternatives. It's tough. And it's a very sensitive subject, and it was very interesting how it was dealt with, but it's still a lot for the lead to deal with.
So in terms of like casting the contestant pool, would Lexi have volunteered that information in interviews with producers? Is that like...
Yeah.
Okay, because that's interesting to me. Like, I'm not sure if I was going on The Bachelor, if I would have the balls to be like, and here's what you should know about me.
Well, it's another thing I kind of hate about where the show has gone, where it's always been, but it's just like, can we get away from the trauma dumping on the first date?
Yeah.
It's just, can we wait to the second date maybe? And I just want to see someone show up. And I think it's happened in previous seasons, but I don't quite remember. But someone would be like, hey, listen, I'm going to keep it real with you. I've had a pretty good life. I've dealt with some shit. We can talk about, if the lead said, hey, can you tell me about a time you've dealt with some adversity? So a question that the lead would have to ask because they're genuinely interested in this person, but they do want to know if this person's dealt with things like heartbreak or just like adversity of any kind. Like, how have you dealt with real life shit? Because I need to know how you can deal with real life shit. And I want the lead to have to pull that out of people he's interested in. Not like, I have something really heavy to tell this person.
No,
And
it
it's every
is.
fucking date. And I'm
It's
just so sick of
presented
it.
like a monologue, and it is.
Yeah.
It does feel very inorganic.
Yeah, and it's like you can tell that's how these women are getting casted, or are these men when it's the Bachelorette. It's like it's part of their resume. And so now they're wearing it as like a badge of honor. And when you do have these really sad stories, I think it does take away from them, because I don't know which one is genuine and which one is just being used for their brand, because it's so on brand with the show. I think they've watered down these really compelling stories that some of these characters have, because they've made it a trope of the show.
Yeah, no, it is. It's something we've come to expect. It's part of the comfort food meal.
Yeah. So like every time someone goes on one of these dates, I'm rolling my eyes before I even heard the story. And then every once in a while we get a Lexi where you're like, oh shit, that's really like heartfelt and compelling. And that must be really, I'm watching Lexi. I'm a dad for the first time ever. I'm crying over every commercial, every sad story.
Yeah.
Like River is like the greatest dream come true of my life. So I have an interesting perspective hearing her story. And I'm really like, I was very drawn to her story, and I would like to like go into these stories, not rolling my eyes, because every other one is just kind of like, I got broken, I got cheated on, I got heartbroken. It's like, join the club, welcome to fucking real life, you know? And it's, and most of the time it's young 20 somethings talking about living life. And I'm over it. And I want to see the producers be a little bit more creative when it comes to these character arcs of these contestants.
I hope they're listening to you, because I think these are good ideas that you have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think some of them do. I don't know if they will see it as good ideas or they'll like my criticism, but it's fine. Oh, by the way, there's another fucking episode tonight.
Yeah. I was going to say, do we think
yeah.
Maria leaves? Because
No.
that's the cliffhanger.
No.
She's not in the teaser, though. Like for the second part of it. So she's in like her
just
part of
could
the
be-
teaser was her being like, I need to go. And
I don't
then
think
she's
she is.
not in the
Well,
rest.
I mean, you can't have a teaser about if
That's
she's going to
true.
go and not
That's
go,
true.
and then show her on a one-on-one 2 weeks later. That would just be bad
I will
editing.
say I did appreciate when he, sent Sydney home and she is the last one standing on the date. I did like that she wasn't just so like relieved to be the one chosen. And she was like, great, we'll ignore everything that happened. She asked him kind of the hard question of, do you think you can move forward with me in this relationship, given everything that's happened and given everything you've heard? Which I appreciated her asking, because it could be easy for her to be like, oh, let's just ignore it and pretend the whole Sydney thing never happened. But she addressed it.
It's a power
head on.
move. Yeah, it's just
Mhm.
it's letting Joey know that she is his equal.
I agree. And I also just, in general, I feel like Maria's behavior around the situation has been very classy.
Yeah.
I know I would have gone full Rock of Love. And when she got dismissed, I would have been like, bye, bitch. Like really showing my true colors. I would just be unmasked. But that's me.
Do you think you would have been able to joke around like Maria did? Was blown away by Sydney thinking she could pout her way through the 2-on-1 and simply like, I'm just gonna be honest, this is really hard for me. It's just like
I like the little
she
fake
doesn't
out.
he doesn't like you,
Yeah.
I like the little fake out that they did where he turned to Sydney and he was like, Sydney, and then this big smile goes on her face and he's like, I'm sending you.
That's
I
just
can't give you
that's
this
just good
response."
coaching on the part of the producers. Yeah, you
Yeah.
always do the psych out. In
Always
fact,
love
and in
that.
real time, that probably lasted
2
3
seconds.
3 minutes. No,
Oh, really?
longer. So I would be like this, and I'd just be like, Maria, like, I just want to say I really respect blah 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 blah. I really like you. You've done this, Sydney. It's been amazing. I mean, I can't thank you enough for blah 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 blah. Maria. Also, and it's just like this, and it goes back and forth and back and forth.
So it's exhausting being the lead, is what you're telling me.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the absolute worst. Yeah. When I was, so for the Corinne and Taylor 2-on-1, we were in that swamp in New Orleans. And all a 2-on-1 is just to get them to fight more. That's all it is. That's the only job of the lead. It's not to have a connection. It's not to get to know anyone. So we brought them to the swamp. They did some voodoo thing, and then I took Taylor first or Corinne. I'm not sure who I talked to first. And I was basically like, so I heard so-and-so talking some shit. They edit around that stuff, but I was just instigating.
Yeah.
And then
But I feel like that's you. I feel like, do you think Joey was instigating?
I think he, in his own way,
Okay.
I don't know. I understood.
I say that with admiration, by the way. This
No,
is not
thank you.
shade.
No, yeah,
Okay.
I understood the assignment.
Okay.
So like when women would come to me with drama, I would be like, tell me more. Yeah, what's going on? Boy, let's get to the bottom of it. Like, I didn't give a fuck. They were always like concerned for me. I didn't care. I knew what I was doing. And then like when Sydney got sent home, she did the whole like, well, I just hope you're mindful of your choices. Taylor did that to me. Like she came back and was just like, I hope you know what you're doing. Meanwhile, like I'm not picking Corinne. Like I just want to meet her nanny. Like that's all. That's why she's here. It's fine. Calm down, Taylor. But it was just the righteousness of like, and it was condescending. And Sydney's condescending to Joey, being like, assuming that Joey doesn't know what's going on and he can't make his own decisions. It's just really frustrating. But I remember like I was hiding in the woods watching Corinne and Taylor going at it and ducking down like 15 feet away, just like watching them for like 30 minutes. And that was, that was the assignment. So I don't know where Joey was. Also, by the way, what a bummer though, because that was a beautiful date. Like
It was.
what like that, and I'm sure that was meant to be a one-on-one because they don't. That's the thing. They very much adapt to what's going on. So the dates are planned months in advance, and someone was going to get a very romantic one-on-one.
Oh, and you're saying they blew it on the 2-on-1,
and they blew it on a 2-on-1 because they wanted to get to that drama much sooner than they usually do. That they spoiled a really good one-on-one.
You know, it's interesting that they don't do anymore. I remember, I think this happened with Corinne and Taylor too. Did they leave Taylor in the swamp?
Yeah, we left Taylor there.
I thought they would leave someone out at sea or something. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah. He walked her out. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the 2-on-1 where they left someone on an island by themselves?
That was with Olivia.
Oh, that was
Right.
Ben Higgins season.
classic.
Well, it started with Ashley Ian Kennedy, who we did a 2-on-1 as well. Sydney's friend with Chris Soul season when they were in the desert
Oh.
and they took the helicopter. I think Chris might have left them both. I don't know. But I think it started with Chris Soul season. And then one of the more iconic ones was Olivia on an island with Ben Higgins.
Yeah.
But yeah. Unfortunately, it's a kiss of death to 2-on-1. I think that about wraps it up. All right. Well, Diablo, can't thank you enough for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Please, I know obviously Lisa Frankenstein is out.
It's out.
Anything else you want to plug?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Well, go check out Lisa Frankenstein. It's in theaters everywhere. It's an excellent film.
Thank you.
Very nostalgic, especially if you love great 80s music. And if you're from the Midwest, it's an absolute no-brainer, but everyone will love it. It's a great film. But you should have checked that out. We will be back on Thursday with the one and only JWoww. What a great conversation, which I loved. It was so great getting to know JWoww more. If she's reality TV royalty for sure. And then plus, obviously, I don't know what happens tonight on The Bachelor. If there's anything meaningful, we'll dive into it in our intro. And also, Natalie will be back next week going deeper. We'll get into our kind of birth story. So all our experiences as new parents we'll talk about when Natalie returns next week. So be sure to check that out as well. Don't forget to send in your questions at asknick@theviallfiles.com for all things texting office hours. Ask Nick Mediation, you know the drill. All right, we'll see you back on Thursday. Bye. Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.